didn't see you there. I guess you've come for the BARCH Book Club. So the first book I want to show you is the IDN, which is the International Design Network. Now this book is good is that it has all the trends kind of in different themes around the world. USA, Australia, how each idea has been explored throughout the entire world in using different designers. This is probably the best book for making your work kind of feel kind of more professional and much more expressive and different and unique. Thinking with type. Now this is probably the best, the best introduction to typography and layouting, spacing, letters. Now you may not be familiar with that terminology if you're just starting out, but it teaches things like the history of type, how different fonts came out, how different terminology came about throughout the history, and it does so in a way that pretty much anyone can apply to themselves. Colors. Oh, no, not color. Yeah, American spelling. So the Colors magazine is a great book as it goes through it explores kind of topics that you don't usually hear. So this edition is looking at art, and it has some very interesting articles such as the Chinese fake art market, where they have rows of Chinese workers going out and trying to mimic artworks and saint portraits here. How the modern art system works, or how artworks have been saved from the Taliban. So very, very great little stories. So if you can kind of work these kind of unusual and quirky stories into your game, it makes it very, very, very interesting than very simple goals such as like rescue the princess. Tale of Jeet I always buy this one for friends and people who are interested in learning how to be more creative. He was describing a world where people had kind of styles of martial arts, and you didn't, if you studied one school of martial arts, then you wouldn't go into another school of martial arts. What Bruce Lee did was he was able to fuse different styles, and he was talking a lot of the philosophies as well that he was thinking when he was fusing things like Western fencing and cha-cha dancing while using kind of the stances of boxing. It's absolutely fantastic. And great styles. It's meant more for fighting people, but I think it's more for making cool games. Man's Search for Himself, Rollo May. What makes Rollo May so interesting is that he, the 1960s psychologists still had their roots in kind of the humanists, the old humanists with classical Greek stories and Roman stories, and he's able to apply those kind of stories to things like someone who has a mother complex, or someone who's trying to feel like have meaning into the city life. And what that kind of does is it kind of brings the mythology into your own life. Like, it's much more interesting to say that I feel bad, and then it's much more interesting to say that I feel bad because I am Agamemnon and I am going to take over Troy, and I can recognize this plight of my mental issue with the muses. I know that's kind of sounds a bit silly, but I find it a lot more fun like as well. Okay. Now the last book I want to recommend is The Power of Habit by Charles Dishgarger. Now this book is great in that it describes pretty much all the modern day journals and papers and research, all pretty much compiled together in a nice, easy to follow format, connecting the ideas between the different research. I'm talking about how it's things like how the habit loops happen, will change their lives, usually after someone dies. Gee. How business can predict who you are just by your habit changes or what you're going through. I mean, it's really fascinating stuff. I recommend anyone who having trouble getting things done, start reading this book. In fact, I reckon this is probably more important than the rest of these books, as if you're not productive, you're not really getting shit done. So those are the 5 books I recommend that everyone have a go reading.